the Mississippi Crop Situation Podcast featuring the Crop Doctors.
Good afternoon from the row crop short course in Starkville. Tom and I have got another one of our platinum sponsors with us. This is Stoneville Seed. We got Andy White and we got Steve Nichols. So two guys that are very, very familiar with Mississippi and with cotton in Mississippi. So thank y'all for joining us this afternoon.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Glad to be here. It's a great event, as always, and great crowd. Just had a great lunch, so looking forward to visiting with y'all over the next few minutes.
Man, that's good turkey, isn't it?
Ooh, man, all of it was good.
Did you eat the turkey, Tom?
I had the barbecue.
Man, you gotta
very
eat that.
good. Pulled pork.
Oh, it's good too, but that turkey. I don't know how you cook that much turkey breast. And
everything that guy does is good.
Ooh, it is really good. Really good.
I'd like to say that you would hope that people wouldn't just come for the food, but the food's spectacular.
It'd be, it
complements the rest of the meeting.
For the price of admission, it'd be worth it.
True. Well, you should say without our gracious and generous sponsors that we have, that we've been talking to all day, we should be profusely thanking you on a regular basis for your
Steve
generous.
and Andy, we certainly appreciate Stoneville sponsoring the short course, and certainly couldn't do any of this without y'all's assistance. And so, as part of that sponsorship, we give y'all an opportunity to talk about your products, talk about your company, if you want to. And I know y'all have undergone some changes in the decently recent past. So, Steve, won't you take an opportunity to tell folks what Stoneville's about?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, I'll just start really again by just saying we're proud to be a sponsor of this event. It's greatly attended. The speakers are very knowledgeable, the content. And so it's no surprise the number of people that come here. And it's well supported by a lot of sponsors. And, again, we're proud to be one of those. You mentioned, BASF went through some changes a while back, and that impacted both Andy and I. And really it's gone by fast, but 5 years ago, we were acquired by BASF from Bayer, and the Stoneville brand came over with that. And so we've had some change in leadership and adjusting and scaling this business and getting it aligned with their crop protection business. And so it's been a process, but we're there now. We got really strong leadership. We've got really good products coming through our breeding pipeline now, and we've got some new technology we're going to be putting in the market in 24, and it's going to be in new germplasm. And so, hey, it's been a work in progress to get to where we are, but we're there now where we can really bring some new innovation to the market and show our growers some new things that we hadn't been able to do really in the past couple of years.
What else came over in the BASF takeover, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, basically BASF acquired all of the seeds business that Bayer had. So the canola business came over, soybean business, the cotton business. There's some things that came over in seed treatment. There's some things that came over in digital. The vegetable seed business came over. Canola business came over. So we have a really, really strong, stable seed business within BASF now, and have had the time to work through putting all of this together and putting the right people in the right places. And our leadership is really strong, and our direction is getting set and clear. And we got Andy here as an example as one of our agronomists, and so we got the boots on the ground with a lot of experience. And what I appreciate about Andy and the other members of our agronomic services team is just the passion and the energy they bring to not only cotton but the Stoneville brand and the opportunity to work with growers and consultants and with people like you all with the university and extension system. And that's just really unique the way it all rolls up together. And at the end of the day, we're all in it to help the grower, and we appreciate what y'all do. And I appreciate the energy and passion that Andy and the others on our team have to be a part of that.
That's one thing I wanted to say is when we came over, we just put a different hat on. We didn't miss a beat as far as our evaluation process for new varieties and where they fit on growers' farms and stuff like that. We kept right on going and didn't miss anything.
Yeah, and so I think the other thing that's new for us is if you look at Mississippi and the cotton business and you look at Stoneville brand, Primarily the last few years we have been selling Bogard 3 Extend Flex varieties, and we've been in licensing those from Bayer through their program. And this 24 will be the first year that we're going to come back putting our novel germplasm with our proprietary traits back in the market. And the other thing that I get fired up about it is we've had the opportunity to look at these for several years now. So we've got a really good handle on where to place them, what the geographical fit's going to be, what are the best management practices, what situations do you keep those varieties out of. And I think that's something we really pride ourselves in, is being so knowledgeable on the varieties. It's not too difficult to advance a high-yielding variety, with good yield potential and good fiber quality, but really understanding where to place it and how to manage it and be confident on those recommendations and knowing, the yield predictability under, whether it's dry land or irrigated or heavy soil or light soil. And that really helps us to be able to work with the growers and their variety making decision. And it's countless hours out in the field, and then it's all the collaboration between Andy and the other agronomists and all the other people that look at our varieties. And so it's collaboration and then compiling all that information from a lot of different sources. We can get a good handle on how to use those varieties.
So Andy, what are some of the specific offerings that Stoneville's got coming up for our growers?
We're looking at 6 experimental accent flex varieties this year. Out of those, I know that 2 are probably going to go forward for Texas, and we look at them over here anyway just to see if one may fit. So out of those remaining 4, there are 2 that have a strong possibility of being advanced. Steve and I were talking about that earlier, but next week, the 13th, I think it's the 11th through the 13th,
yep,
we will make a decision on which of those varieties will be advanced and which one we think has a fit for our area. And that's one thing that, when we advance a variety, we want to sell that variety. That's why we advance it, but we don't want that variety to fail on a grower's farm. So we never recommend a grower to plant 100% of his seed in one variety. We try to get him to just plant a little bit, and that's basically what y'all recommend. Mississippi State recommends just try it first, and we do the same thing when we go out to growers. We say try it, see how you like it, and then we test it again that second year. That gives us more confidence in recommending where that variety fits on a grower's place.
I think lots of people forget that farmers are in and of themselves outstanding researchers because they do an awful lot of that ground truthing, looking at those varieties on their own places. And most farmers do look at multiple varieties in a given year, or they go by the variety testing plots that you all perform, that we perform, and then that we all work together on as well. And it's important that you all stand behind that brand and that particular product.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think back, and a lot of things we do today are no different than the things we did years ago. And to your point, Tom, you look at things, you look at data from a lot of different sources. You look at it over multiple years, and you can really start getting the picture of what that variety is going to perform. And then you introduce it into the market, and you ask a grower to put it on 10, 15, 20% of his acres, and then it's up to that variety to prove itself. And if it does well like we would expect it to do when it's placed in the right situation, then they would likely increase their percentage of their farm in that variety the next year. And so we're Andy mentioned the variety advancement, and I'm just sitting on ready. That's next week, and so we'll all be flying out to Lubbock. We'll have our whole agronomic services team there. We'll have our cotton leadership team there. We'll have our entire breeding team from across the cotton belt there, and we're going to be looking at a lot of data and some long hours, making decisions on what to advance, and then we'll roll that out to the industry right after the variety advancement, and then at Beltwide Cotton Conference we'll be talking about them in more depth.
It's kind of like our Super Bowl. We've been working all year, getting all this data, and I mean every year it's for me it's one of the best meetings I go to is our advancement meeting because we know that will affect the industry, the entire industry, based on what we decide.
I think a lot of people they don't realize the level of scrutiny that stuff goes through to advance from, because there's hundreds of breeding lines and across all crops. It doesn't matter what crop it is, but to get through that funnel into that, in the case of cotton, a literal handful of options, I mean, you got to be a pretty phenomenal variety to make it through all those checkpoints in that system.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking about we have to give credit to our breeders. For the amount of years I've worked with Stoneville, since 2000, so that's going on 24 years now, our breeders, I don't think they've ever failed to give us varieties that are better than what we had the year before, better in quality, better in yield. So every year, I only remember 1 or 2 years where we didn't advance a variety, and it just didn't meet our standards. But they have done a phenomenal job of giving us good germplasm.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite a process, and our breeding team, they start out like you mentioned, they're looking at thousands of line, and in some kind of way they got to narrow that down, to the top few hundred, and then they got to narrow that 100 or plus down to the top 40 or so, and then we'll finally whittle that down to the 6 or 8 that Andy and his team will look at, and that's what we'll select from variety advancement. So you never really know. Sometimes you wonder, like, hey, did I throw a good one away? But you're doing everything you can to bring the best stuff forward. And I just thought about something else new that we're going to be bringing to the market, and I wanted to share before we run out of time. But we just celebrated 100-year celebration for the Stoneville brand, not just recently. I can't remember if that was a year ago or 2 years, but we're over 100 years old. And in the whole history of the Stoneville brand, we're bringing forward the strongest native trait packages that we've ever offered in the Stoneville brand. So we're going to have a lot of native traits for nematodes, root knot and reniform, bacterial blight. We're evaluating some new seed treatment options, so we're going to look at, improving, some protection, with early season insects and nematodes with the seed treatment piece, coupled with the native traits. I think that's going to give us some options for growers where they're, have some high nematode or even moderate levels of nematode pressures. These varieties are going to perform well on those kind of conditions. And Andy presented yesterday to this group, and I know I looked at one of his slides as he went through that, and one of them is showing one of these varieties with good nematode tolerance that just really, really outperformed the other ones that didn't have the tolerance in a field that had some pretty good nematode numbers. So that's going to be exciting for us as well.
Well, and everybody knows that. We talked about it earlier. We probably don't talk about it enough, but nematodes are a huge issue statewide, especially in Mississippi and the rest of the states where we grow cotton, simply because, one, we don't do near as good a job looking for them like we have in the past. And if you've been growing continuous cotton, you have a nematode issue in your field, period, whether it's a reniform or root knot. Very limited number of locations that have both in place. But it's nice to see that the companies are recognizing that. I mean, I think that's something that we need to appreciate. The number of hours that goes into those observations in the field and all the rest of that, really important, and definitely brings the best product to the marketplace that supports the farmers.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here smiling because it is a lot of hours, and it's some hard work, but it's what we do. It's where our passion is, and it just never gets old to me, and I appreciate all the work that the agronomists do across the cotton belt. I mean, we have folks from the southeast, mid-Atlantic, certainly mid-south here in Mississippi, but also all through Texas, and it's a lot of work goes in, but that's how you really understand these varieties. And I'll just share this, being very transparent. When we do variety advancement, if you haven't been in the field and looked at the varieties, you don't have a whole lot that you can really weigh in about. These guys that spend hours and hours looking at it from the time of emergence to harvest, and then looking at the gin and the turnout and the fiber quality, they're the ones that really weigh in and play a huge role in what we bring forward.
Well, we certainly appreciate y'all spending some time with us today. Andy, where can folks go to find out more about these varieties when they do get advanced, and maybe some of the folks on the ground in Mississippi?
Well, we'll have a release, and then I'll have all the data supplied to our reps. Our reps go around and talk to the retailers and farmers and growers, and then, of course, I'll be presenting at meetings too, like the consultant meeting and different meetings in the South.
We really appreciate the time you take today to talk to us about this, and we definitely appreciate the relationship we have with y'all and the sponsorship support.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. We appreciate the working relationship as well, and appreciate what y'all are doing. I think this is important, another way of getting information out there. And I would just end up by saying, if anyone listening to the podcast wants more information, don't hesitate to reach out to Andy or myself, and hey, we'll go and take a deeper dive on any piece of this.
Thanks, guys. Good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Mississippi Crop Situation Podcast is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.